In 1912, in northern France, Horty, a foundry worker, wins a race at his workplace for the third time in a row. This makes him the champion. As a reward, the company's president, Simeon, gives him a ticket to see the Titanic depart. Horty's wife, Zoe, looks a bit disappointed because she had hoped for a bigger prize that would help them move to a better neighborhood. Afterward, Horty asks Simeon if Zoe can come too, but Simeon is upset by the question. He thinks Horty is making a request and tells him that he only gave him the ticket because it was expensive. Simeon gives Horty the ticket and wishes him a safe trip. On the way home, Simeon's secretary, Meunier, reminds him that they bought 2 tickets for England. But Simeon explains he only gave Horty one because he wants to take advantage of Zoe without Horty's interference. The next day, at a luxury hotel in Southampton, a man named Pascal asks Horty where he's from. Horty says he's French, and Pascal wonders why he's in England. Horty explains he's there to see the Titanic's departure. Later, Horty hears a knock at his hotel door. When he opens it, a woman tells him she's a chambermaid heading to the Titanic but has nowhere to stay because all the hotels are full. She heard Horty was just passing through and asks if he could give up the room for her. Horty refuses, saying he doesn't know where he would stay if he gave up the room. The woman is disappointed, but Horty, feeling sorry for her, invites her to stay with him. She's happy and agrees. That night, the woman takes the bed while Horty sits in the chair. Suddenly, she calls out to him, inviting him to join her in the bed. She says she doesn't take up much space, so he would be comfortable. Horty agrees and lies down beside her. The woman says she finds Horty's body attractive, but he just says it's from his work at the foundry. She asks for his name, and he tells her. She then introduces herself as Marie. The next morning, he wakes up to find that Marie has already left. Remembering that the Titanic is leaving that day, he quickly gets dressed and heads to the dock, hoping to see her. He finds her having her photo taken but doesn't approach her, knowing she's working. He decides to leave and watches as the Titanic sets sail. Later, he asks the photographer for a picture of Marie as a souvenir. A week later, Zoe and their friends gather to greet Horty when he returns from his trip. However, Meunier interrupts the conversation, saying that Simeon wants to speak with him. The crowd steps aside, and Simeon tells Horty that after seeing more in England, he believes it's time to promote him to the role of the tower's maintenance worker. As Horty listens, Gaspard, a colleague, reveals that Zoe is the reason for the promotion and that she has been friendly with Simeon while Horty was away. This makes Horty feel uneasy. When they get home, he refuses to acknowledge Zoe's attempts to get closer. She confronts him for ignoring her. Angry over the rumors, Horty pushes her away and storms off to the bar. At the bar, Horty's friends pass around a photo of Marie, thinking she's his new companion. Curious, they ask him if he spent the night with her, but Horty denies it. He explains they only shared a bed, but his friends joke about it. Al offers free drinks if Horty tells them more, and Horty agrees, deciding to entertain them. At first, he sticks to the truth about what happened when Marie stayed with him, mentioning that they shared a bed after she asked him. But his friends keep pushing him to say more, so Horty begins to tell a more exciting story to satisfy them. He describes how, in the hotel room, Marie got too hot and went to the bathroom. When Horty followed her, she invited him in and began washing his back. She then kissed him and expressed her feelings for him. Al is impressed by the story, but Horty knows it's far from the truth. He suddenly stands up, wanting to leave. His friends are disappointed and want more details, but Gaspard jokes that Zoe might be with Simeon, urging Horty to stay and keep talking. Feeling insulted, Horty tries to confront Gaspard, but Al quickly steps in to prevent things from getting worse. That evening, Horty returns home and asks Zoe if she has been involved with Simeon. Her silence makes him suspicious, so he presses her further, but Zoe denies it. As they argue, they hear Horty's friends outside, asking him to continue his story about the chambermaid he met in England. Zoe, upset, questions him about the woman, but Horty brushes it off, saying his friends are just making up stories because they are drunk. Despite his denial, Zoe realizes something is wrong when she recalls how he had avoided her when he returned from his trip. In a burst of anger, Zoe admits that she was with Simeon and even claims that he was better than Horty. Hurt by her words, Horty storms out of the house and goes to the bar. Later, Horty lies to his friends, telling them that Marie took him on a private tour of the Titanic and that they became close. He says they met again in the streets, and she encouraged him to take risks and enjoy life. He tells them she showed him around the Titanic and hid him under a table while she worked. They shared a moment, but were interrupted by one of her colleagues. Marie would secretly bring him food and drinks to keep him strong for their encounters. Back at the bar, Horty tells his friends that he brought excitement to Marie's life and that she promised to look for him when she returns from America. One day at the foundry, Horty and his friends hear about the Titanic sinking, and they search the newspaper for Marie's name, hoping she survived. At the tower, Horty feels sad, believing that the disaster has taken Marie's life. A few days later, Zoe becomes upset with Horty's cold attitude towards her, especially since he refuses to come home. Matilda comforts her, saying that their problem will soon pass. She suggests that Zoe visit Horty at the tower, but Zoe refuses, feeling scared to see him so distant. Al also worries about Horty staying in the tower, so she scolds him and urges him to go back home. In an effort to rekindle his love for Zoe, Al explains that the rumors about her affair with Simeon are false, and that Zoe is still deeply in love with him. Blanche, a colleague of Zoe's, informs her that Horty has been telling stories at the bar about his adventures with a chambermaid. Matilda accuses Blanche of lying and pulls Zoe away, saying that hearing such things will only hurt her more. As they leave, Simeon appears, and Zoe tells him about Horty's behavior. She begs Simeon to clear up the rumors and assure Horty that there was never anything between them. Simeon promises to talk to Horty and set things straight, which comforts Zoe. However, Horty is watching from above, and out of jealousy, he damages Simeon's car. Simeon, feeling threatened, decides to fire Horty, thinking that he's trying to harm him. A few days later, now that Horty is unemployed, he spends his time at the bar, where he earns free drinks by telling stories about his supposed affair with Marie. This time, his story becomes more dramatic, as he claims to have found Marie's unconscious body on the shore after the Titanic disaster. He says he brought her to a hotel room and tried to revive her with his kisses. Zoe, who is in the crowd, hears this and approaches Horty, demanding to know if his story is true. Horty, nervous about being exposed, admits that he did meet with Marie. Zoe is devastated by his betrayal and slaps him before walking out. Outside the bar, Horty tries to speak to her, but she pulls away, unable to forgive him for his unfaithfulness. Horty tries to defend himself by reminding Zoe of the rumors about her affair, but she denies it. Overwhelmed, she blames his trip to see the Titanic for the distance that has grown between them. Seeing Zoe's sadness softens Horty's heart, and he tells her to forget about the story with Marie. Zoe finds it absurd, since Horty himself spread those lies. Horty admits that everything was made up and that he only told the stories because his friends liked them. He also believes that Marie is no longer a threat to their relationship, as she may have died in the Titanic disaster. Later, in their bed, Zoe insists that Horty never return to the bar and tell those false stories again. She wants him to show that she is the only woman in his life. Horty, sensing her possessiveness, agrees. Days pass, and Horty hasn't gone to the bar, so Al visits the couple's home. He's surprised that Horty won't share his stories anymore, especially since he now has more time after losing his job. Just then, Gaspar arrives with news that Lou, the bar owner, is frustrated because the bar is crowded and Horty isn't there. Al tells them that Lou will stop giving Horty tips if he doesn't return. This grabs Zoe's attention, and she asks Al to explain. He tells her that Lou gives Horty a large amount of money in tips. Realizing they need the money, Zoe agrees to let Horty return to the bar, but only on the condition that he admits his stories are fictional. One day, Yeppe, a traveling performer, comes to the bar and listens to Horty's exaggerated tale. Yeppe, impressed by Horty's storytelling, invites him to join his traveling theater, believing he has a future in acting. Horty initially refuses, thinking his stories are just lies, but Yeppe doesn't mind. He also offers the chance to live in a caravan, which interests Zoe as she has been wanting a new home. Zoe approaches the two men, hoping to work out a deal. Yeppe, surprised by her sudden appearance, introduces himself and expresses excitement about meeting the wife of such a great storyteller. Confused, Zoe asks why Yeppe called her husband an actor. Yeppe explains that Horty's imagination makes him perfect for acting and promises to help him become a great actor. Zoe is reluctant, not wanting Horty involved with other women, but Yeppe convinces her by offering them 100 francs a week. Without hesitation, the couple agrees, and they join Yeppe's group. Zoe is excited, feeling that their lives are about to change. On the day of Horty's performance, he starts off nervously, struggling to hide his anxiety. Yeppe, who is backstage, tells his assistant Giovanni that he is disappointed because Horty's performance feels empty. However, Horty imagines Marie standing in front of him, which helps him speak with more emotion and detail. After the show, Zoe is so jealous of Marie that she punches a portrait of her, leaving Horty confused. He reminds her that she had encouraged him to share his story, but Zoe insists she still believes he had a romantic relationship with Marie. To allow him to keep telling his stories, Zoe says she will play the role of Marie in the performances. During one of the shows, Horty's stage presence improves. Giovanni helps him make his delivery more captivating with sound effects, while Zoe acts out the part where Marie supposedly disappears during the night of the show. After the performance, the audience gives Horty a standing ovation, which makes Yeppe very happy. He goes backstage to tell Zoe how well they did, but she doesn't seem thrilled. In a moment of frustration, Zoe joins Horty on stage and, filled with bitterness toward Marie, covers the portrait with herself. From performing on the streets, Horty's captivating stories of Marie have earned him a chance to perform in a theater. As Horty continues to tell the tale of how he became separated from Marie, he suddenly stops, shocked to see that the woman he's been describing is in the audience. Marie leaves the theater, and Horty follows her outside, where he meets Pascal, Marie's husband. Pascal reveals Marie is a Titanic survivor using a fake name and a thief. Meanwhile, Zoe finds Marie at the parking lot, where she demands money from Zoe, bitter about their success. Horty learns from Pascal that Marie intended to steal his belongings, but he had no money. Later, Horty and Marie meet but remain silent. Zoe returns with the money but finds Pascal in the car instead of Marie. Shocked to learn Marie is married, Zoe gives Pascal the money and tells him never to return. Horty returns to the stage, admitting he's been lying. He turns it into another story, metaphorically killing his obsession with Marie and burning her portrait. The audience applauds, and Yeppe wonders if Horty had feelings for Marie. Horty denies it, admitting he used an onion to cry. The next morning, Pascal is confused by Marie's sadness despite the money, while Marie reflects on Horty's feelings. Meanwhile, Horty and Zoe rekindle their passion.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and stay connected with us.